reveals the jewelry exchange Bethesda.
Good morning, America. New this morning, the Trump transition. The president-elect inviting a fierce former critic, Mitt Romney, to a meeting at his golf course compound in New Jersey. Is Trump teeing up Romney for Secretary of State? This as other new appointments come under fire over accusations of racism. Plus, what's being called Trump's stunning reversal, why he's suddenly settling those Trump University fraud cases.
Casting call out Mike Pence's Broadway visit to Hamilton overnight. The vice president-elect's divided welcome and the message from the CAP.
We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us.
And we're in the room where it happens.
Caught on camera, the fiery crash. A plane slams into a parking lot, erupting into flames. Witnesses scrambling to help. What went wrong here?
Snowy blast, the first major blizzard of the season, pounding the upper Midwest. The treacherous driving, trucks and cars overturned. Dangerous whiteout conditions, and where it's headed now.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and let's get it straight out to Bedminster Township, New Jersey. That's where Donald Trump has his national golf club. It's 40 miles outside of New York City.
And that's where President-elect Donald Trump has a family compound, and where today could be a pivotal day in the formation of his new administration.
Many of us would love to be a fly on the wall as he sits down with former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney, who has come out hard against Trump in the past few months. He's called him a con man and a fraud, and now Romney is reportedly under consideration for Secretary of State.
Let's not forget that Trump also said that Romney was not a smart man and questioned his Mormonism,
Yes.
but I guess we're going to let bygones be bygones. But meantime, this morning reactions are pouring into several new appointments that Trump has just announced, two of them quite controversial. Jeff Sessions as Attorney General and retired General Mike Flynn for National Security Advisor, both dealing with accusations of bigotry. We have team coverage this morning, and we do begin with ABC's David Wright, who is in Bedminster Township for us this morning. Hi, David.
Hi, Paula. Hi, Dan. This place is home to one of 17 golf clubs that Donald Trump owns around the world. But this weekend, it is the White House in waiting. In this rural setting, Donald Trump will sit down with former rival Mitt Romney. A golf course under heavy guard, a private setting for this high-stakes summit. The 2012 nominee and the 2016 winner haven't always been diplomatic about each other.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud.
He had his shot. He had his shot. He didn't like it when I said he choked like a dog. He choked like a dog.
So the idea that Trump is now courting Romney as a possible Secretary of State is an early test for the deal-maker president. Romney isn't the only candidate. There's also South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Well, I won't pretend to have always been President-elect's biggest cheerleader. I did vote for him, and I was absolutely thrilled to see him win.
And former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was Trump's biggest cheerleader, but who now seems to be struggling to win the job he wants. Trump has already settled on Senator Jeff Sessions for Attorney General and Congressman Mike Pompeo for CIA Director, both jobs offered and approved pending confirmation by the Senate. General Mike Flynn will be National Security Advisor, no confirmation required. This weekend retreat at what used to be automaker John DeLorean's country estate could be a much-needed break from Fifth Avenue. Last night, the man leading the transition team took a break from the meetings to see the hit Broadway show Hamilton. There were boos and some cheers for Vice President-elect Pence, as well as this shout-out from the cast.
And Vice President-elect Pence, I see you walking out, but I hope you will hear us just a few more moments. We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us. Our planet, our children, our parents, or defend us and uphold our inalienable rights, sir. But we truly hope that this show has inspired you to uphold our American values and to work on behalf of all of us.
The vice president-elect had already ducked out of the theater right after the show, but he stood there in the hallway and heard the whole speech, apparently. Meanwhile, here in Bedminster, Trump has a busy range of meetings today. In addition to Romney, he's also meeting with General James Mattis, a former U.S. Marine Corps general, under consideration for Secretary of Defense. Also, Michelle Rhee, she's the former D.C. schools chief, under consideration for the Department of Education. Paula?
All right, but what a moment there on Broadway last night. David, thank you. And Trump is facing fierce criticism after announcing his choices for Attorney General and National Security Advisor, not to mention his chief strategist, Steve Bannon, who opened up in an explosive new interview about his vision for the future of America. And ABC's Gloria Rivera is here with the backlash that Team Trump is already feeling. Gloria, good morning.
Good morning, Paula. That's right. It's only been 11 days since the election, and speculation on who will fill out President-elect Trump's administration continues to run rampant. His picks for those top 3 posts and that magazine interview prompting new backlash.
This morning, President-elect Trump's supporters are defending his picks for key positions. 3 of them under fire for a history of racially charged comments.
Jeff Sessions is one of the stalwart conservatives in the Senate. He's also been a loyal ally to Donald Trump throughout this entire campaign.
Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions, selected for Attorney General, served as a federal prosecutor before his decades-long career on Capitol Hill and was unopposed in his last election. But claims of racism have followed the conservative, who was accused of calling an African-American colleague in the U.S. Attorney's Office boy, a charge he denied during this 1986 testimony to the U.S. Senate, which rejected his confirmation to a federal judgeship.
I am not a racist.
Sessions denies those charges to this day. Still, the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus calling Senator Sessions' civil rights record appalling. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, tapped for National Security Advisor, gets high praise for his intelligence work. Former CIA Director Mike Hayden complimenting Flynn, saying he has been incredibly successful in the fight against terrorism. But he's also been criticized for recent comments, tweeting that fear of Muslims is rational, and this August 2016 speech on Islam.
So it's like cancer, and it's like a malignant cancer.
But Trump's most controversial pick may be his chief White House strategist, Steve Bannon. The former head of Breitbart Media has been vilified as a racist and an anti-Semite, charges he denies. But Bannon seems to boast about being scorned by his opponents, telling The Hollywood Reporter that darkness is good. Bannon tells the magazine, Dick Cheney, Darth Vader, Satan, that's power.
One label Bannon does reject is the term white nationalist. Instead, he argues he is simply a nationalist or an economic nationalist. Dan, Paula?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Steve Bannon much more as the broadcast continues. Gloria, thank you. Meanwhile, as Trump deals with these swirling controversies over his picks for these top jobs, he's also moving to put an older controversy to rest. The president-elect has now agreed to settle several lawsuits from people who claim Trump University was a fraud. The New York Attorney General calling this a stunning reversal. Here's ABC's Rebecca Jarvis.
But this is actually a good one all around.
This morning, attorneys for President-elect Donald Trump have settled all 3 fraud cases against the now defunct Trump University for $25 million and no admission of wrongdoing.
Everybody who was enrolled in this school and who wants their money back will get over half their money back.
New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, who brought one of the suits against the program, saying it amounted to a stunning reversal by Donald Trump and a major victory for the more than 6,000 victims of his, quote, fraudulent university. While campaigning, Trump vowed to never settle the claims.
I could have settled it. I just choose not to. In fact, when I ran, they said, why didn't you settle up that case? I don't want to settle the case.
And Trump and his attorneys have long defended the program, saying it imparted valuable knowledge and that a vast majority of former students were happy with their experience.
He was willing to put his personal interests and his personal beliefs aside and focus on the issues that are facing the country.
The allegations of fraud involving Trump University were set to make headlines, with the trial scheduled to begin later this month before Judge Gonzalo Curiel, who Trump criticized during his campaign, alleging the U.S.-born judge was biased because he is the son of Mexican immigrants. But this morning, it appears those cases will not go to trial. For Good Morning America, Rebecca Jarvis, ABC News, New York.
Rebecca, thank you. For more on all of this, let's bring in Bill Kristol, who's the editor of the Weekly Standard. He's also an ABC News contributor, and he joins us from Washington. Bill, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's start with this Trump-Romney meeting today. There is a long history in America of political rivals making nice after these hard-fought campaigns, but Romney really went pretty far. As we showed, he called Trump a con man and a fraud. Could he really join the cabinet after saying all of that?
Sure he could. I mean, I think he'd want assurances that as Secretary of State, I assume that's the job he would be interested in and that he might be offered, he would be able to run his department. He would want to talk about some substantive foreign policy issues. He's not going to defend or articulate positions that he thinks are indefensible. But, you know, the media is being a little unfair here. I mean, on the one hand, Trump's criticized, I think correctly in some ways, for appointing loyalists who shouldn't perhaps be in the highest positions. Then he reaches out to Mitt Romney, who is unquestionably qualified for this job, who's been a harsh critic of Trump, who doesn't agree with Trump on everything. It shows a kind of open-mindedness on Trump's part, honestly, and I think rising to the job, perhaps, if he makes the offer. Same with Jim Mattis. Jim Mattis, whom I know, retired Marine four-star general, fantastic general, really a fantastic human being, I think. I don't know that he wants to be Secretary of Defense. That'd have to be a waiver because he's a recent general. But if he would advise Donald Trump, I would feel better about a President Trump who is being advised by Mitt Romney and Jim Mattis. So, you know, it's a little, we can all laugh about it and show the clips of Romney criticizing Trump and remind people that Mattis thought of running as an independent against Trump. But I've got to give Trump credit for being more open-minded or broad-minded than I might have expected.
Yeah, you got Nikki Haley and, you know, Ted
Right.
Cruz and Romney going from his hit list now to his hot list. But I want to ask you about the 5 high-profile job appointments since the election. All white men, and 3 of them, we're talking about Sessions, Bannon, and Flynn, have been accused of bigotry. So if a member of a minority community, if you're a member of the minority community and you're concerned about a Trump presidency, how should you feel about this administration and how it's shaping up right now, Bill?
I think you should keep an open mind, honestly. I don't know that I don't approve of things Bannon has said. I'm not sure I would make Mike Flynn my national security advisor. I respect Jeff Sessions, and I think he's getting a bit of a bum rap here. But anyway, let's see. You know, Sessions will testify before the Senate in his confirmation. Flynn and Bannon are in staff positions. I myself think staffers should probably not be giving interviews and speeches maybe as much. Let the president be the president. Let the cabinet secretaries be the public faces of the administration. So I would, if I were, I mean, I am a Trump skeptic, obviously, but if I were in a minority group and a Trump skeptic, I would trust but verify, distrust but verify, be very skeptical. But, you know, he is the president-elect. Let's see what he does. Let's see what his policies are. Let's see what he says as president. And maybe some of his aides will move on from where they were a few months or a few years ago.
You've paid a price for being a Trump skeptic. Steve Bannon, the controversial Trump strategist, newly appointed to a high-ranking staff position in the White House, has gone after you through Breitbart quite aggressively. What do you make of the fact that Bannon now appears to hold an enormous amount of sway with the incoming president?
Well, Bannon thought the kind of conservatism that I've been part of for decades was old-fashioned and too timid and not sort of nationalist enough. Some of those are legitimate policy differences. Sometimes I think he published stuff at Breitbart that was unnecessarily, not just personal, but sort of vitriolic and so forth. But again, I'm not thrilled that Steve Bannon is a counselor to the President of the United States. But again, it's really going to be what Donald Trump does and says, not what Steve Bannon does and says.
Bill Kristol, fascinating to watch you walk this line this morning. We'll be checking back with you throughout this administration. Thank you very much. And Paula, over to you.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Bill. And moving now to the fiery scene of a small plane crash. The plane slamming into a parking lot in northeast Nevada, which is near a housing complex. It set off explosions. Witnesses capturing these visuals that you're seeing. Now, all 4 people on board were lost. The FAA is involved, and our Eva Pilgrim is here with more. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Paula. A fiery plane crash just moments after takeoff into that parking lot across from the airport. This morning, we're learning this was a medical transport plane with 3 crew members and a patient on board.
Overnight, the dramatic aftermath of a fiery plane crash caught on camera.
We have an explosion at the barracks parking lot, possibly involving an airplane, ammunition on board.
Watch as this massive fireball engulfs surrounding cars after a small plane plummeted into a parking lot in Nevada. A local newspaper reporting the plane may have been transporting a heart patient.
I heard a bang and then saw the flames.
The inferno setting off explosions as witnesses scramble to find a way to put out the growing flames. Firefighters arriving on scene to douse the blaze, but the plane and the surrounding vehicles gutted by the intense fire. An FAA official telling ABC News that the crash is under investigation this morning, saying unknown circumstances caused the plane to crash just 1 mile from the Elko airport.
And the fire chief saying there isn't much left of that plane. The NTSB is also investigating this crash.
Yeah.
So tragic.
Yeah,
Thanks,
the
Eva.
video is harrowing. Evia, thank you. Let's go to the breaking weather news now. And a deadly blizzard slamming the upper Midwest. Whiteout conditions there leading to more than 400 crashes. All that weather is now moving east. The forecast from Rob in a moment. But first, let's get it out to ABC's Philip Mena, who's in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where people have been warned to stay off the roads. Philip, good morning to you.
Dan, Paula, good morning. That's right. Yeah, that snowstorm that is now pummeling the upper Midwest, it's no longer here, but here's the problem. All of this snow and ice, it is rock hard, and it is coating the roads here, making them slick and extremely dangerous.
Overnight, near whiteout conditions blanketing the upper Midwest. Clouds working to clear the roads. On highways and interstates, blizzard conditions making it nearly impossible to see. Big rigs struggling to gain traction, overturning on the side of the road.
Gets any worse than this, that'll be it for me.
Drivers pelted by snow and slush. The Minnesota State Patrol responding to over 440 crashes, with at least 3 deaths so far. Winds gusting 50 to 70 miles per hour. On Lake Superior, a lone surfer braving the rough waters, trying to catch a perfect wave.
Surfing would be the best bet today, so it's like if you're wearing the right gear, it's totally comfortable.
10 to 18 inches falling in northern Minnesota.
The wind is really, really bad.
Residents now digging out.
It is what it is. I'm kind of used to it. I actually call this place Minnesota.
Well, it has been uncommonly warm this fall, and it's not typical to have the first snowstorm of the season hit so close to Thanksgiving, but now that it's here, it's hitting hard. Dan, Paula?
Stay warm, Philip. So we've all want to know where this storm is headed now, so let's send things over to Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Paul. And to echo what Philip just said, we've not only had a mild winter, but our first snowstorm, a full-on blizzard for parts of the upper Midwest. And it's only going to strengthen as it traverses the Great Lakes. There you see the backside of it. A lot of snow with this, especially as that cold air gets over those warm Great Lakes. Lake effect snow machine will be cranking beginning today on all the lakes in the upstate New York, especially western New York. We already have lake effect snow warnings that are posted through tomorrow and then through Monday as well. But look at the advisories all the way down into the south. Big time wind and cold. Everybody's going to get a piece of this. Not good for the fire situation there. Here's the heavy snow across upstate New York. 10 to 20 inches expected. We'll get some snow in some of the higher elevations as well, but those lake effect snow bands will be focused on certain spots. All right, take a look at some of these wind chills. Yesterday, Louisville, 81 degrees. Tomorrow morning, it'll feel like in the 20s. That's a serious drop, a shock to the system for sure, and that gets all the way down into Florida. Tallahassee will feel like 28 degrees Monday morning. Oh, winter has arrived. All right, let's quick check on what's going on nationally. Here now is your local forecast.
Well, we're still going to be quite mild for this afternoon, but major changes coming up. First up at noon, we have this wind advisory that's going to be going into effect. Some of those wind gusts later today and into tonight could approach 50 miles per hour. Now, we're off to quite a cool start for some, but we're actually pretty mild in the metro. 46 right now, upper 30s in Baltimore. We're going to get to about 67 for a daytime high with a few showers later today.
Gusted to 79 miles an hour in Jackson, Michigan yesterday. So wind. Yes.
Jackson.
J-Town.
Is that where you're from?
He calls me Action Jackson
Yeah,
all the time. You know he's from Jackson, Michigan?
Yeah.
There you go.
No idea. It doesn't surprise me that it's a windy place. So,
Are you
in a good way.
insinuating that I'm long-winded?
In a good way.
Is that where it was going?
Look, we're going to talk about your Wolverines and the rest of college football, which is going to be impacted by, for the first time.
There's a reason why Ron calls her Filibuster Ferris. Speaking of Ron, let's get it over to Ron for a look at the morning headlines. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Dan, good morning to you and Filibuster Ferris. Robert and Diane, good morning, everyone. We begin in Wichita, Kansas, where the FBI has now joined the search for the suspect who murdered a mother and kidnapped her newborn baby. The infant, Sofia Gonzalez, is barely a week old. Police say the mother's boyfriend came home Thursday afternoon and found the woman dead of a gunshot wound and the baby missing. Officials say they have no idea where baby Sofia is and no suspects at this time. And in Georgia, a U.S. Marshal and the fugitive he was trying to arrest were both killed in a shootout. Officials say a team of marshals was serving a warrant in a rural area outside of Savannah.